And please repeat after me the English version. I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
And realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
I will penetrate the teachings
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
And transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return for another 5-minute period of meditation, which will be followed by Dharma talk from Ma'um, our temple priest.
Please follow along as we do some stretching. A nice way to end our meditation practice. Working with each part of our body, breathing. Exploring the ridge of our skull. Nice little massage. Finding the pressure points in the ears. Exhaling as we lean forward. Looking up. Inhaling as we stretch skyward. Exhaling to the left. Breathing in and then exhaling to the right. And then as we sit up, we clasp our hands behind our back. Breathe and then exhale as we fold, stretching the arms and the back. Inhaling up. Exhaling to the left and a spinal twist. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the right. Inhaling to the center. And then placing your hands where your hip bones meet your thighs. Nice big circles. And reverse. Breathe in and then exhale as you lean to the right. Leaning in the other direction. Twisting left. Twisting right. Stretching upwards to the skies. Engage in abdominal breathing. And now come close for the Dhammapada reading. It's the tail of this chapter. We are reading this morning from the chapter called The Elephant. To have friends in need is sweet, and to share happiness, and to have done something good before leaving this life is sweet, and to let go of sorrow. And the picture in the Dhammapada reading this morning is of a child pulling in a boat. So good morning, dear Dharma friends. It is June 27th here in Ann Arbor, and the garden is just bursting with flowers, and we have some baby koi swimming in our ponds. They arrived last night. And our duck, Dewey, has been overjoyed these past few days with the rain, finding puddles everywhere, splashing around, not wanting to come in at night because of having so much fun. So this is summer, and today our Dharma talk is about living in the season. So last week, June 20th, we celebrated liberation of life. And that date also is important because it is the summer solstice. And the summer solstice is very important in many traditions. So June 20th in the northern hemisphere, the sun reached the northernmost position in the sky. It's the day when the sun travels its longest path through the sky and reaches the highest point. The name solstice derives from Latin words sol, meaning sun, and sistere, meaning to stand still. It's officially the first day of summer. And the Druids in Stonehenge in England celebrate this day by all gathering in this very ancient sacred place where stones have been placed in a circle, and only on the solstice, the summer and the winter solstice, does the sun hit the stones at exactly the right angle to illuminate some special carvings. So the Druids, they believe that everything in existence is interconnected. Sounds a little Buddhist, eh? And that energy, the stuff we're made of, is part of a continuum of the universe. Everything in nature goes in a cycle. This cycle is called the Hayir effects, and it affects everything we do. If you observe changes between seasons, you can become better attuned and become part of them. So the Druids gather together as part of the continuum of their ancestors in this special place called Stonehenge, and they want to be under the open sky so that they become part of something much bigger. Solstice is celebrated in many other places in the northern hemisphere this time of year, and so especially the northern part of Europe, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, they have a celebration of the midnight sun. In Asia, in China, it is known as a celebration of femininity. Solstice is related to celebrations in Native American culture, one celebration being the sun dance, although I don't think this typically necessarily occurs at the time of solstice. But in Sundance, this very special celebration involves clearing the land in a circle, going to the forest, identifying a special tree that is felled in a very special way with sticks and stones. It comes down like this, and people catch it. They actually catch it. They don't let it touch the earth. And then they transport it to the chosen circle and do ritual dances and ceremonies with it. So if we look at all of these traditions, what they have in common, most of them involve greeting the sunshine. Most involve making a circle. Most involve gratitude or celebration of future blessings. Sometimes sacrifice is involved. And the themes that come out of summer solstice are fertility, abundance, interpersonal connection, change, nature, and new beginnings. So I want to share a Hopi poem about a circle because I think the circle is very interesting. If you come to the Zen Buddhist temple in Ann Arbor, you find an altar and a special room. In traditions that don't go inside to buildings to altars, they form a special circle. It's sort of like their spontaneous or their own version of creating an altar, a sacred space. So here's the Hopi poem. There is a circle here. There is a web, a network stands connecting those who share the vision, who feel the hope, who sense the mystery. We touch life. We hear the planet's pulse. We work quietly together and alone. Each task, each piece, each part of a wholeness. There is a circle here. So that very, I think, wonderful feeling of interconnection that we all have. So in the Buddhist calendar, summer solstice is not a holiday. However, we do sort of organize our year around celestial events like this in various seasons. We probably pay more attention to the lunar calendar than the traveling of the sun. But we do have special things that we do at different parts of the year. So our calendar basically is this. So in winter, the season of winter, we have our year-end services and New Year's Day service. Some of you may have attended these quite beautiful gatherings, celebration of closing of one year, beginning of something new. In January, we typically have Lunar New Year, and we celebrate Buddha's enlightenment with an all-night sitting. Sometimes Lunar New Year is in February too. In March, we have Parinirvana Day, the passing of the Buddha into nirvana. And in the spring, we move into the spring season. In April, we honor our ancestors, our Dharma ancestors, Solbang Sunam, Tongsan Sunam, in members of our lineage. And in May, Buddha's birthday. In past years, we've had wonderful outdoor celebrations and feasting, and we so look forward to that happening again this coming year for Buddha's birthday. Summer, we have Liberation of Life. We participated in that service last weekend, led by Haju Sunam, in which we release animals that would have otherwise, and insects, all sentient beings, who otherwise would have been harmed or killed. Summer also brings taking of precepts. Next weekend, July 4th, we will have a group of 12 people from Ann Arbor taking precepts, formally committing well, taking the first step on the Buddhist path in a formal way. So they'll receive beads, they'll recite these 5 basic precepts: not to harm, but to cherish all life, not to take what is not given, respect the things of others, and so on. In the summer also is the gathering of our temples, all 5 temples in the Buddhist Society for Compassionate Wisdom come together for a 5-day retreat, followed by meetings of students and meetings of teachers. And so this year we're able to go to Chicago and to do that in person for the first time in a while. And we are looking forward to that. We will of course do it safely. For those of you who might be wondering, sort of the ticket to entry is either a COVID vaccine or a negative COVID test. But we will be together then for 2 weeks. And then in fall, we have Ulaanbaatar Day, in which it's a time of reconciliation with those with whom we have unresolved issues, or with those who have passed from our lives. So each season brings its own unique gifts. And I was reading this book just the other day called Living in the Season. It was written by, I can find her name, I want to say it right, Ji Heng Padma. And she is a chaplain at Wesleyan College. She also has she worked at Harvard, and she spent 10 years in a monastery in Korea. She's in the quantum school tradition. So in describing these seasons, we think of winter as a time of stillness or sheltering in. Yet, even in the midst of winter, there is light. So we see birds going about their business, deer foraging for food, seeds stirring beneath the ground. In spring, new life emerges, and you remember opening up your windows for that, getting that first fresh spring breeze. It's just wonderful. The days starting to become longer and more gentle. And then we enter this season of summer, the fullness of life, the garden being in full bloom. And, it's a time of perhaps fruition of some of our practices. And fall is a season for harvest and giving thanks for all the gifts that we've been given. So Zen master Wu Men, a Chinese Zen master, makes the point that we can find happiness in every season. So here's his little poem. Spring comes with flowers, autumn with the moon, summer with breeze, winter with snow. When idle concerns don't hang in your mind, that is your best season. So how do we practice so that idle concerns are not hanging in our mind? One of the things I really like about Ji Heng Padma's book is that she offers us practices that we can do for each season of the year, and just so that we can sort of be in harmony with this great cycle that's going on around us. So I wanted to share just a few of these with you. So the first practice that we do in the summer is play. So our schedule is lifted. We take a break. We just go outside, go for a walk. Cultivate spontaneity. This is something that sort of helps the beginner's mind. A couple weeks ago, our Dharma teacher, Hayun, went skydiving. Oh my gosh, that's a really big form of play. And she said, yeah, it's the most terrifying moment of her life. But at the same time, there was this great joy in doing it. So think about how you play. Maybe it's tennis, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's canoeing on the Huron River, maybe it's just putting on a silly hat and seeing how you look at the world differently, how people respond to you differently if you dance around in a hat like this. So please find a little time for play in your life. Oh, and if you have trouble coming up with something, if you're a more serious person, if you have trouble when the schedule goes away, find some children and ask them, how do you play? And they will come up with some good answers for you. They may invite you to their game of running around and catching fireflies or whatever it is that they do. So play is the first practice. The second practice is connect with nature. And I have another poem that I want to read that I think captures the spirit of this. This is by David Wagner, and it's called Lost. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger, must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen. It answers, I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here. No two trees are the same to a raven. No two branches are the same to a wren. If what a tree or bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. We're fortunate to live in a state that has so many beautiful outdoor venues. So please find some time to go to a forest or a lake, do some walking meditation, and just pause. Maybe stand in front of a tree. Just stand still and see how it speaks to you. So we have play, connect with nature. A third practice I'm giving you is cultivate awe. And I want to offer this in the form of sky gazing. So here's the exercise. Sit or lie down and look up at the sky. Let yourself become one with the sky. Let the sky be within you. Sense your mind as open and clear, as free and limitless as the sky. Rest in that natural spaciousness and clarity. This summer, every morning, we walk to Burns Park and do practice outdoors. This morning, as we were chanting Yavel, our three refuges, I took a moment to look up at the sky and how vast it was. And as we were chanting these verses that have to do with our ancestors, our spiritual ancestors, and bodhisattvas and Buddhas and all the 10 directions, and how the Dharma got to us from India to China to Korea to the United States. I just looking at that sky had this sense of the vastness of the Buddhist tradition that we're able to reside in. And to me, that brought a sense of awe. So the Buddha, another thought on sky gazing, the Buddha said, develop a mind that is vast like space, where experiences, both pleasant and unpleasant, can appear and disappear without conflict, struggle, or harm. Rest in this mind like sky. So it's not always going to be, you know, fireflies and butterflies and roses. Sometimes other stuff comes up too. And the wonderful thing about the sky, the wonderful thing about nature is it encompasses all of that. And we're still okay. We just come back, we keep coming back to the practice. I think in the Dhammapada says, it says, I'm not going to get this quite right, but something like live in joy, even in the midst of turmoil or conflict. So we can do that. We have that opportunity. So a fourth practice, interconnect with others. This is back to that circle idea. Everybody holding hands. And we are so fortunate now to be emerging from the pandemic. So we can actually go out and we can see each other. We can touch each other. We can be together in ways that are meaningful to us. A couple of other ways to interconnect with others, engage in random acts of kindness. So pick up trash on the sidewalk, fold somebody else's laundry, make eye contact with that person who's selling you your morning coffee. Reach out to an old friend. Give extra patience, maybe to those who press your buttons. And just observe how this impacts others. One story that you may have heard before, many of us have heard, is this about connection with others is somebody's going to a drive-through coffee station and receives coffee and then spontaneously said, oh, and I want to pay for the coffee of that person behind me. And so then the next car drives up and the person in the window says, the person ahead of you just gave you free coffee. What would you like? And so then wanting to keep that good deed going, I'll pay for the person behind me, and so on and so forth. And I think they counted like that happened 36 times before the chain was broken. Wow. So that's just a real easy way to example of connecting with others. See all relationships as spiritual practice. Haju and Hayun and I have been taking this 6-month course on nonviolent communication. And I think the communication tools that we are learning really is part of this practice. So all relationships are part of spiritual practice. Yesterday, we were talking about dissolving blame. And how do you do that? You shift towards seeing things through the eyes of the other person, and you examine the resources that each of you have and see if there's an imbalance there and if it can be made more equal. And by resources, I don't mean just material resources like money and things like that, but resources like time, family, community, access to spiritual practice, these kinds of things. And so dissolving blame involves seeing things from another perspective and then learning to share resources differently. So here is sort of a unique practice. It's called Namaste. Namaste is the spirit in me greets the spirit in you. So I'm going to ask if we can move the camera back. I'm going to ask Haju and Sagam to engage in this practice, and then tell us how it feels to you as a practice of interconnection. So if both of you would stand up and face each other. And just take a moment, take enough time. Stand up slowly, massage your feet. Here we go. Does that feel better? Okay, so now face each other, placing your hands in half challenge. You are. And I see you're smiling at each other, looking at each other's eyes. And then Haju, you remain standing. And Sagam, you kneel down. And Sagam, place your head at Haju's feet. And so now you are the giver, Sagam. So allow yourself to send loving kindness through your hands as well as receive through your hands. You who are standing, allow yourself to give loving kindness through your feet as well as receive the other's reverence. And you can see they just did that quite automatically and wonderful. Now, if both of you would stand up, and please reverse that process so that Haju is kneeling and Sagam is standing. Just take 3 deep breaths. And then stand up. And then making bow, namaste. The spirit in me greets the spirit in you.
Namaste.
Okay. So now you can sit down and please maybe just share how that felt. That's our practice of interconnection.
Well, it was very different. I mean, I've certainly seen people show reverence by touching a teacher's feet. And I know there's ancient tradition of washing each other's feet. So it was a different stance for me to be like this with somebody. But after a morning of meditation, it's a little simpler to be in that moment and feel it. So it was very different, and I can see how it could be a practice.
How about from you, Haju?
Oh, I felt very connected with you. Just being able to be given the guidance to hold your feet, to be lowering myself with you. Yeah. So it was very, I thought it was lovely. I love the practice. Thank you for coming up with that. Yeah.
Well, it's not me, it was Ji Hang. Yeah, so thank you for participating in that. But yeah, you can bring the camera back closer. It's probably not something you would do every day or with every person you meet, but now and then it's sort of an interesting practice. So the final summer practice I want to talk about is gratitude. I'm wondering if some of you out there keep a gratitude journal. So at the end of every day, just write down 4 or 5 things that you are grateful for. Or if you have a practice like we do at the table at the temple, at least once a week at the breakfast table, we share appreciations for each other. So gratitude is an important part of cultivating our overall happiness and continuing to connect in this way of summer practices. Sagam has practice with Native American traditions, and they actually have a thank you song that she's going to offer us. Maybe sing it a couple of times too.
I'll sing it 4 times since
4
it's
times.
4 directions on it. It's a
It's
holy number.
It's
It's short.
yeah. What tradition is this from?
Lakota.
Lakota. So from the Lakota tradition. And then should we be imagining that we're facing each of the 4 directions?
That might be quite useful, starting at the east,
Okay.
south, west.
So maybe as you sing it, would you just say east and then sing it south?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. I do want to mention that Sundance is a time of request, making prayers, literally and inside. And it's also a time of sacrifice and gratitude, and then receiving, which is sometimes, I think we have a tendency to not receive even after we've asked. So that receptive mode after. So this is a song that shows up a lot at the end of Sundance, after days of sacrifice and prayer. It's quite short, and the words are, in Lakota, it's Tunkashala, perhaps you've heard that word, grandfather or great spirit, Palamia, which is thank you. It goes Tunkashala, Palamia, 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 and then it goes Wichozaniwa, which is good health, but it's good health in the most holistic sense. Maya Kucha, I see good health around me, and then one more, thank you, Palamia. So, here we go. Donka Shela, Pela Maya ye, Pela Maya ye, Pela Maya ye no he. We chose Aniwa Maya Kucha, Pela Maya Elohe. That was east, now we're thinking south. Tonka Shela, Pela Maya e, Pela Maya e, Pela Maya Elohe. We chose Aniwa Maya Kucha, Pela Maya Elohe. West, Donka Shela, Pela Maya e, Pela Maya e, Pela Maya Elohe. We chose Aniwa Maya Kucha, Pela Maya Elohe. In the north, Donka Shela, Pela Maya e, Pela Maya e, Pela Maya Elohe. We chose Aniwa Maya Kucha, Pela Maya Elohe.
Thank you. That was lovely. And so now with gratitude, I'm going to transition to announcements because part of our announcements is always gratitude. Thank you for everyone out there in our broader Sangha who joined us this morning, and thank you for your many contributions to the temple, coming to work in the garden, financial contributions, the notes and emails that you send us. We're very grateful for all of them. So next week is July 4th. There will be no live stream service that week, as we will be in Chicago on retreat, and we're taking all the technology with us. So unfortunately, well, we will not be with you for that reason, but also July 4th is a special day for our precept takers. So they will be having a special ceremony at a similar time. We will return to live stream on July 11th. So no service July 4th. We resume service on July 7th by live stream. And then on July 18th, we will be having service outside under the canopy, all of us together in person for the first time in many moons. And we are so looking forward to that. Other announcements for the coming 2 weeks from now until July 10th. Our formal temple schedule is suspended. So those of you who have been joining Wednesday evening service, for example, the next service will be, I think, July 13th, but not for the next 2 weeks. Same with study groups. I do believe that Recovery Dharma will continue to meet, so please continue as part of that group. Other announcements that I missed that anybody can think of?
There will be Sagam and our technician who you cannot see here at the temple while we're away. And we'll go ahead with gardening on Saturdays from 3 to 5. So, and if you need to, for some reason, be at the temple, they'll be here from time to time and be available to help. We're really grateful for that.
And now would you like to close with the 4 great vows, please?
Sure. All beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to terminate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
Awakening.
Awakening.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize. So can you sing this song?
Don't get shame, la maya.